Welcome back to the Video CPA. Today we're going to talk about something a little bit different. It is a deduction, and a deduction that most of you might be interested in. You've got to be self-employed actually to take this deduction, so it's the self-employed health insurance deduction. And this deduction is not even really available to all self-employed individuals, but it is available to most. You just have to meet the requirements. So let's get into this a little bit. We're going to talk about what it is, who can take the deduction, and the benefits of the deduction. It's a good deduction if you can take it. Here's the disclaimers. What basically happened is that they noticed that self-employed people were not on the same level deduction-wise as employees of corporations. And so they did something to try to make that a little bit better. And when I say they just made it a little bit better, that's what I mean, because they're still not on a level with employees. And that's because a deduction is not equal to receiving tax-free income, all right? So self-employed people, through the self-employed deduction or the self-employed insurance deduction, basically get screwed, all right? The lawmakers try to do something about it, but anyway, it is a good benefit, but it doesn't do everything that they should do for self-employed people, as far as I'm concerned, anyway. And that is my opinion, but it is a deduction if you've got if you've got health insurance premiums and you're self-employed. Generally, you can take this deduction, but there are some requirements that might limit that. Okay, so let's look at what those requirements might be. First of all, you have to have earnings from self-employment. You cannot take the deduction if you don't have any earnings. So if you don't have any net income, you don't get a deduction. If, for example, you have $10,000 in self-employed health insurance premiums and your income is only $5,000, well, then you can take up to $5,000 in the deduction, okay? So that is the income limitation on it. The next limitation is that the taxpayer cannot be eligible to participate in an employee subsidized plan, okay? So, for example, if the taxpayer's wife is working for a corporation and she has a subsidized plan and he is eligible to take part in that subsidized plan, even though he does not take part, he still cannot take the self-employed insurance deduction. Okay, so that's where, as CPAs, we see most people that are preparing their own taxes, and even some CPAs, mess up, because you have to be aware of the fact that the IRS, if you've got an option to be in a subsidized plan, the IRS wants you in that subsidized plan. They're not going to give you an insurance, a break on insurance or the self-employment tax deduction. So those are the two main restrictions, okay? First, there's an income restriction. Second, you cannot be eligible to participate in a employee subsidized health insurance plan, all right? Either of those can limit the deduction that you get or just completely negate you getting a deduction at all. All right, now the nice thing is that, let me stay on course here. So if you take the self-employed income tax deduction or health insurance deduction, you're not eligible then to deduct this health insurance on Schedule A. You can't double dip on it. The self-employed health insurance deduction is actually taken on the front page of the 1040. So you cannot take it again on Schedule A. And you can also not deduct it on your Schedule C, or if you've got a partnership or an S Corp or something like that, it's not deductible. It is deductible on the front page of the 1040, but it's not deductible for self-employment tax purposes. Okay. So in coming up with the money that the income that you have that's subject to self-employment tax, you cannot deduct take this deduction. Okay. Now it is available to partners of partnerships, LLC members, greater than 2% owners of S corporations. All of these guys are considered self-employed for purposes of the deduction, so they can get it as well. Like I said, the deduction is taken in the adjustments area on the front page of the 1040, not on Schedule A, and that is a big benefit, because if you don't have enough deductions to itemize your deduction, you're taking the standard deduction, so you don't get. If you wouldn't get this particular deduction were it not on the front page of the 1040. So it does help defray the cost of medical insurance. And the deduction's figured on a month-by-month basis. I mean, if you are covered by a subsidized plan for 10 months out of the year, you can take the self-employed health insurance deduction for the 2 months that you're not eligible to participate in that employer subsidized plan. So you need to keep that in mind. If you are not eligible to participate in an employer subsidized plan, you take the deduction. Say you take the deduction for 6 months, and then you become eligible to be covered by a subsidized plan. Then you would have a deduction on the front page of the 1040. You would also possibly have a health insurance deduction on Schedule A for that period of time that you were covered by a subsidized plan. So in those areas, it gets a little bit more complicated. You could have a deduction in both areas, but most people, if they qualify for the deduction, are going to take it on the front page of the 1040. So again, 2 limitations. There's the income limitation, and then there's the subsidized plan limitation. And you need to be aware of both. And like I said earlier, most people, if they're going to screw it up in the subsidized plan, because they feel like, well, I'm not in the plan. But if you're eligible to be covered by the plan, the IRS considers that you're not eligible for the deduction. Okay, and a lot of people, they may not join the plan, and they think they can then take the health insurance deduction, which is not true. All right. So I hope that explains that to you. I want to thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. And again, I'll be back with you in a week or two with another exciting video about your personal income tax or other types of tax. So thank you very much.